31st birthday, my mother-in-law handed me divorce papers and announced, from all of us, right there in the restaurant. My husband filmed my reaction for their amusement. I thanked her, signed on the spot, and walked out. She had no idea what I had already done. I thought my 31st birthday was finally going to be a turning point, a moment of acceptance into my husband's family. But what actually unfolded that night was a public ambush, orchestrated by my mother-in-law, Margaret, with a gift designed to utterly destroy me. Little did she know, her cruelest blow would become my greatest liberation. It all started 3 days before my birthday. I walked into our kitchen, expecting it to be empty, but there was Margaret, hunched over the table. Legal documents, official-looking papers, spread out in front of her. The sound of my footsteps made her jump. She practically flew to gather them up, stuffing them into a beautifully decorated birthday envelope. Just some family paperwork, she chirped, a strange, tight smile on her face. A smile I'd never seen before, not just disapproval, but satisfaction. It was unsettling. She even called me Dear Margaret, who usually avoided my name altogether, preferring David's wife, or simply she. The endearment felt like a warning, a taste of something she'd soon discard. The envelope itself was pale pink, silver butterflies dancing around elegant, happy birthday script. Expensive, thoughtful. I picked this one specifically for you, she said, watching my reaction too closely. It was so out of character. For 2 years, Margaret had treated me like an inconvenient accessory to her son's life, never a person worthy of a sentimental gesture. So, her sudden effort, her airy, almost giddy laugh as she said, "This is something special I've been working on for quite some time. David doesn't even know about it yet," filled me with unexpected hope. Maybe, just maybe, she'd finally seen how hard I was trying. How much I loved David despite their constant criticism. She tucked the envelope into her purse. "It's something that will change everything," she added. "You deserve something meaningful after all this time." That same morning, David came into the kitchen, dressed for work. He kissed my cheek, but I caught the quick, knowing look he exchanged with his mother. A silent conversation that excluded me entirely. When I asked if everything was all right, he just smiled, saying they were planning something special for my birthday. That week, the whole family acted off. Margaret called twice to confirm my schedule, suggesting we celebrate at Romano's, the restaurant where I worked. Romano's. She'd always refused to go there before, making excuses. "I think it would be meaningful to celebrate where you work," she explained, but her tone was calculating, not caring. Emma, David's sister, started smiling mysteriously, volunteering to help with arrangements. Emma, who usually avoided family events involving me. David was constantly on his phone, grinning at texts he wouldn't let me see. Surprise business, he teased. Their collective excitement was so convincing, so loving, that I pushed down every doubt. I truly believed they were finally accepting me. The night before, Margaret called again. "Wear something nice," she advised. "Nothing too formal. You'll want to be comfortable for what we have planned." That edge of anticipation in her voice, I mistook it for genuine excitement. I spent extra time picking out a navy dress, smoothing every wrinkle. I wanted to look perfect for what I hoped would be our breakthrough moment. David held me close that evening, telling me how much he loved me, his voice intense, almost like a goodbye. "Tomorrow will be a day you'll never forget," he whispered. I fell asleep feeling cherished, completely unaware his tenderness was actually guilt. While I dreamed of finally earning their respect, Margaret's decorated envelope sat in her purse, waiting to deliver its devastating contents. My induction into David's family had been a slow, painful torment. The first family gathering after our honeymoon, his cousin Michael's graduation party. Margaret greeted me with air kisses that never touched my cheeks, then immediately steered me toward a group of relatives. "This is David's wife," she announced, a deliberate pause. "She works in the service industry." The words hung in the air, a thinly veiled judgment. Patricia, another cousin, raised her eyebrows. Janet made a sympathetic sound that felt like pity. "How interesting," Janet said, her smile tight. "What kind of service work do you do?" Margaret cut in before I could answer, painting me as lost and directionless rather than hardworking. Later, I overheard her telling someone, "We're hoping she'll find something more suitable soon." David deserves a wife who can contribute to their social position properly. It stung. My entire identity reduced to my perceived failure to meet their standards. Thanksgiving, 3 months later. Same pattern, only worse. Margaret invited extended family, then went around the table, highlighting everyone's professional achievements, strategically skipping me. At Christmas, Emma got a silk scarf. I got a book, Professional Success for Women, wrapped in newspaper. It was a homework assignment for becoming acceptable. By David's birthday in February, he was openly ashamed of my job. "She's exploring different opportunities right now," he'd say when asked, avoiding my eyes. The man who once bragged about my work ethic now treated my employment like a family secret. Emma's engagement party in March brought new levels of social torture. Margaret hovered, ready to redirect conversations whenever Romanos was mentioned, making my occupation invisible. The worst was Easter, when Margaret's friend Carol, a retired executive, grilled me about my background. Margaret actually interrupted me to explain I was between opportunities. I excused myself to the powder room and cried. They were rewriting my life story. The pattern was clear. I was a project, not a person. David's transformation was heartbreaking. He'd changed the subject quickly, made jokes about upgrading my career. The family group chat became a daily humiliation. Emma would share articles about successful women and follow up with interrogations about my own professional development. Margaret told her country club friends I was David's burden. I started questioning my worth, my choices, my self-confidence strength. The breaking point came during a phone conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. Margaret was talking to her friend Helen. "I keep praying he'll come to his senses before it's too late," she said, her voice cutting through me. "He's such a good boy, and he deserves someone who can enhance his life rather than hold him back." Standing in my own hallway, listening to my mother-in-law pray for my marriage's destruction, it finally clicked. Acceptance was never going to be possible. She didn't just disapprove of my job, she disapproved of my existence. The next morning, I was at my laptop with a new fierce determination. If she wanted a professional woman, I would become one. LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster, I created profiles on every platform. My resume was pathetic. 3 years at Romanos, a high school diploma, scattered customer service. I stared at the blank sections where degrees and accomplishments should be. Margaret's voice echoed in my head. Real qualifications. Proper preparation. I rewrote my job descriptions 5 times, trying to make serving tables sound like executive experience. Managed multiple client relationships simultaneously while maintaining high satisfaction ratings. It felt fake. The rejections started immediately. Seeking candidates with medical office experience. Require applicants with college-level education. My inbox overflowed with polite dismissals. I wasn't qualified. David found me crying one evening. "Maybe you're aiming too high too fast," he suggested, rubbing my shoulders. His words, meant to comfort, just echoed his mother's message. Lower your expectations. The interview at Henderson Insurance Company was my first real-world humiliation. Mrs. Henderson glanced at my resume for 30 seconds. "Your background is quite limited," she said, not bothering to hide her disappointment. My carefully prepared answers about transferable skills fell flat. She checked her watch. "Perhaps you should consider positions more aligned with your current skill set." The drive home was the longest 20 minutes of my life. Community college became my next desperate strategy. Evening business program, intro to business, basic accounting, professional communication. I paid the fees with furniture money. My first night, I felt completely out of my depth. Other students, working professionals, spoke confidently about corporate experience. I had no connections, no mentors. David's reaction was lukewarm. "Are you sure this is worth the time and money?" he asked. It felt like another vote of no confidence. My performance at Romanos started to decline. Late night studying, constant rejections, I was exhausted. Mr. Romano noticed. "You seem troubled lately, Jennifer," he said, his genuine concern a stark contrast to my family's veiled jabs. Maria, our head cook, became my unofficial therapist. Education is good, she'd say, handing me an extra coffee, but don't let anyone make you ashamed of honest work. Tony, the youngest staff member, would tell me, "You're the smartest person here." Those companies don't know what they're missing. Their faith felt precious. The financial pressure was immense. Interview clothes, gas, textbooks, tuition. David started questioning every purchase. "Maybe we should take a break from all this," he suggested, looking at our credit card statements. It felt like abandonment. The library became my refuge. My grades were excellent, proving my intelligence, but it meant nothing to Margaret. "Community college is a good start," she'd say, though real career advancement usually requires proper university education. Even my success was evidence of inadequacy. Summer arrived, my determination still burning. I created spreadsheets for job applications, green for submitted, yellow for pending, red for rejections. Within 3 weeks, my screen was a sea of red. The rejection from Pinnacle Marketing stung. "Your customer service skills are admirable," the HR director said, "but this position requires strategic thinking and analytical capabilities that come from corporate experience." As if waitresses couldn't think. My folder of rejection letters grew thick enough to require a rubber band. Margaret's weekly phone calls became sessions of barely concealed gloating. "How's the job search going, dear?" she'd ask with false sweetness. When I admitted to another week without responses, she'd make sympathetic sounds that felt more like celebration. The interview at Westfield Insurance was pure humiliation. I waited 2 hours. Mr. Westfield called me in. "Oh, right, the restaurant girl," he said, shuffling papers. He gave me a computer skills assessment with spreadsheet functions I'd never seen. My confusion was obvious. "This position requires technical competency," he explained. "Perhaps you should consider roles that better match your current skill level." It felt like Margaret speaking through a stranger. I started editing my stories for David, removing the most humiliating details to preserve his dwindling respect. When the hiring manager at Thompson Real Estate laughed at my salary expectations, I told David the interview went pretty well. At community college, Professor Martinez treated me with respect, praising my written assignments, valuing my customer service insights. "Your practical experience provides valuable perspective," she told the class, making me feel knowledgeable instead of inadequate. But academic success didn't translate to employment. Rejection from Coastal Bank. "While your educational efforts are commendable, we require candidates with banking experience for this entry-level position." The irony was crushing. Even entry-level jobs demanded experience I couldn't get without being hired first. Romanos provided the only stability. Mr. Romano, Maria, Tony, they were my anchors. Maria, a single mother of 3, would tell me, "They try to make you think you're not good enough. But look around here. You handle 6 tables during rush hour, remember every order, and keep customers happy even when they're difficult." That takes intelligence and skill they don't teach in fancy schools. Tony's faith in me was unwavering. "You're the smartest person here," he'd say. "Those companies don't know what they're missing." The financial strain was unbearable. Interview clothes, gas, tuition, all consumed our savings. David, looking at our credit card statements, suggested I take a break from the applications. It felt like surrender. Sleep became elusive. My appetite disappeared. Margaret noticed, commenting on my drawn and tired appearance with false concern that felt like satisfaction. The stack of rejection letters grew. By autumn, 47 different positions, 4 counties. All not the right fit. Margaret's predictions seemed to be coming true. Then, Monday afternoon, I was at the kitchen table, surrounded by the remnants of another failed week. 47 rejections, Margaret's latest dismissive comment, David's impatience. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I usually ignored them, but something made me answer. Maybe I was hoping for a miracle. "Hello, is this Jennifer?" The woman's voice was professional but warm. "This is Jessica Martinez from Grand Plaza Hotel's Human Resources Department. I hope I'm not calling at a bad time." My heart stopped. Grand Plaza Hotel. I remembered submitting that application 6 months ago, during a desperate winter evening. One of dozens, cast into the void. "We received your application for our guest services coordinator position. Jessica continued. And I was wondering if you're still interested in discussing opportunities with our team. It sounded impossible. Someone was calling me about a job, treating my application like it had value. Yes, absolutely, I managed, my hands trembling. I'm very interested. Jessica's laugh was genuine. Wonderful. I have to tell you, your restaurant experience really caught our attention. We found that candidates with your background often excel in hospitality because you understand customer service from the ground up. Revolutionary. Someone was praising my waitressing experience. She explained that Grand Plaza valued service excellence through practical application. My years at Romano's weren't a liability, they were credentials. We offer comprehensive training programs for career development, she said, including management track opportunities. Our benefits package includes health insurance, dental coverage, retirement planning, and educational assistance. Everything I'd only dreamed of. Then she said, there's one more aspect of this position that might interest you. The role includes housing in our employee residential building. It's a fully furnished apartment, with utilities included. Just a 5-minute walk from the hotel. I had to sit down. Free housing. Independence from their constant criticism, from the financial pressure. 3 hours away from Margaret's disapproving presence. A fresh start. The salary, $42,000, $48,000 annually. My current income barely reached $30,000, even with good tips. Financial independence. Would you be interested in scheduling a phone interview later this week? I would love to schedule an interview, I said, my voice stronger than it had been in months. Hope bubbled up, replacing the constant anxiety. The irony wasn't lost on me. Margaret's birthday envelope, designed to destroy me, was still out there. And I now possessed the information that would prove every negative thing she'd ever said about my potential was wrong. The timing felt like cosmic justice. I wanted to call David immediately, but something held me back. This opportunity was mine, discovered through my own efforts, despite their discouragement. For the first time in our marriage, I had something valuable that didn't require their approval. I decided to keep it secret until my birthday celebration. Margaret had spent 2 years trying to prove I wasn't good enough. Now I could reveal I was not only good enough, but moving beyond their limited vision. That evening, I moved through Romano's with renewed energy. My regulars noticed. You look happier than I've seen you in months, Mrs. Patterson said. Tuesday morning, I locked myself in the bedroom for the phone interview. Jessica's questions focused on scenarios I could answer confidently. Difficult customers, managing priorities, service excellence under pressure. Your references from Romano's restaurant are glowing, she said. Mr. Romano spoke very highly of your reliability and customer relationship skills. That's exactly the foundation we build on here. Vindication. The formal job offer arrived via email that afternoon. Guest Services Coordinator, $45,000 annually, full benefits, employee housing included. I printed 3 copies, folding one to carry in my purse like a talisman. That evening at Romano's, the weight of constant inadequacy had lifted. I felt worthy. David's call Wednesday morning changed my plan. Mom wants to take you out for your birthday tomorrow, he said, excited. She suggested Romano's since you're always talking about how much you love working there. My heart swelled. She was finally acknowledging my workplace. Does this mean she's finally accepting my job? I asked, genuinely touched. David's pause was just long enough to plant hope. I think she's beginning to understand what makes you happy, he said. She wants this birthday to be special. Emma's text arrived that afternoon. Can't wait for tomorrow night. This birthday will definitely be memorable. I spent Wednesday evening planning my reveal. The job offer letter sat in my jewelry box, a secret weapon. I practiced in the bathroom mirror. I have some exciting news to share. I received a job offer from Grand Plaza Hotel. The words felt powerful, transformative. I imagined Margaret's shocked expression, David's proud smile, Emma's grudging respect. Thursday morning, my actual birthday. Shopping became an adventure. I chose a navy dress, elegant, professional. My hair appointment at Sandra's salon was a luxury, an investment in my new image. You're glowing today, Sandra said. Something good must be happening. Something wonderful, I confirmed. Tonight is going to change everything. Jessica's final confirmation for my start date, 2 weeks. Perfect. Enough time to process, soon enough to escape. I rehearsed my announcement in the car, speaking to my reflection at red lights. I want to share some wonderful news. I've been offered a position at Grand Plaza Hotel. My anticipation grew as I parked outside Romano's. Mr. Romano waved, probably wondering why I was arriving as a customer. Tonight, I'd tell him. My secret job offer had been armor all week. When Margaret commented on my dead-end situation, I just smiled and said things were looking up. When she mentioned David needed a wife who could contribute meaningfully, I agreed completely, knowing I was about to exceed her wildest expectations. David's excitement was palpable. His phone constantly checked, satisfied grins. The jewelry box in our bedroom held my job offer letter like a secret weapon. Tonight, I would transform from Margaret's disappointing daughter-in-law into a professional success story. Walking into Romano's, the bell chimed. My family followed me into the familiar, warm atmosphere. Jennifer. Mr. Romano's voice boomed. He hurried over, wiping his hands on his apron, genuinely pleased. This must be the birthday celebration. Mr. Romano, I'd like you to meet my family, I said, a pride surprising even myself. My husband, David, his mother, Margaret, and his sister, Emma. He shook their hands warmly. I felt grateful Margaret would finally see the respect I'd earned here. Margaret's smile was strained as she surveyed the modest dining room. The red vinyl booths, the mismatched chairs, clearly not her standard. But she was here. Mr. Romano promised, we'll take good care of you, leading us to a corner booth. Maria caught my eye from the kitchen window and winked. Tony gave me a thumbs up. It felt surreal, sitting as a guest. Margaret examined the laminated menu with visible skepticism, ordering the most expensive item, lobster ravioli. David's behavior throughout dinner was nervous excitement. He kept checking his phone under the table. Are you expecting an important call? I asked. He glanced at Margaret, getting some silent approval. Just coordinating some surprise elements for tonight, he said, a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Margaret's conversation felt artificial, rehearsed. She asked questions about community college with false interest. You've been working so hard to improve yourself, she said. It's admirable how determined you've been. It sounded supportive, but felt like a setup. Emma snorted quietly, covering it with a cough. The birthday cake appeared as we finished dinner, carried by Sandra, a new server. As the entire restaurant sang "Happy Birthday," regular customers joined in, a chorus of genuine affection. Make a wish, David said, positioning his phone to capture the moment. I wished for the courage to share my news gracefully, hoping it would bridge the gap. Margaret's applause was enthusiastic, but hollow. She reached into her designer purse with theatrical ceremony, withdrawing the decorated envelope. We have a special gift for you, she announced, her voice carrying across nearby tables. From all of us. She held the envelope high. The pink paper with silver butterflies looked festive, innocent. Other customers turned to watch. Emma's phone appeared, also recording. David adjusted his angle to capture my face. Their coordination was perfect. Open it, Margaret urged, her eyes bright with anticipation. The envelope felt heavier than expected. I tore it open. Official documents folded neatly inside. Legal letterhead. Formal language. Then, in bold, imposing letters, petition for dissolution of marriage. Divorce papers. On my birthday. In front of my coworkers and regular customers. My breath caught. The decorated envelope, so innocent, was a weapon designed for maximum destruction. The restaurant continued buzzing around us, but our booth was in a bubble of thick tension. Margaret's satisfied expression confirmed it. This was no mistake. This was exactly what she'd planned. David's phone. Remain steady, recording. They wanted to capture this moment of devastation. My humiliation was their entertainment. The papers felt heavy in my trembling hands. I looked up at the three faces watching me. Margaret's smile was triumphant. Emma's expression was gleeful. David looked nervous but excited. They'd turned my birthday into their victory celebration, using my own workplace as the stage for my public destruction. Time slowed, but instead of the devastation they expected, I felt something entirely different. Clarity. Pure, crystalline clarity. about who these people truly were. Margaret's smile was radiant, her eyes sparkling with the joy of a plan executed. Emma leaned forward, phone still recording, hungry for the breakdown. David's camera remained focused on my face, waiting for tears that would never come. I looked down at the documents, noting the careful preparation. An attorney hired, paperwork filed, timing coordinated to maximize humiliation. It required only my signature. They'd even brought a pen. Well, Margaret prompted when my silence stretched longer than she'd expected. Aren't you going to say something? Her voice invited everyone to witness my reaction. They expected me to beg, cry, create a scene. Instead, I reached for the pen and signed my name. My handwriting was steadier than it had been in months. The ink flowed smoothly, marking the end of a marriage, but the beginning of something they couldn't imagine. Margaret's triumphant expression faltered. David's phone wavered. That's it, he asked, his voice barely audible. You're not going to fight this or ask questions? His disappointment was palpable. My calm acceptance wasn't providing the entertainment they anticipated. Thank you, I said, standing up from the booth with dignity intact. This is actually the most generous gift you could have given me. Margaret's face shifted from satisfaction to bewilderment as I reached into my purse and withdrew my own envelope. The official job offer letter from Grand Plaza Hotel. I have some news to share as well, I announced, my voice carrying clearly through the hushed restaurant. 3 days ago, I was offered a position as guest services coordinator at Grand Plaza Hotel. The salary is $45,000 annually, with full benefits and housing included. The words felt powerful, each one landing with precision. Margaret's mouth opened slightly, but no sound emerged. Emma's phone slipped in her grasp, her expression shifting to stunned disbelief. David's camera captured his own shocked face as he forgot to keep filming. The position starts in 2 weeks, I continued, savoring the weight of their attention for entirely different reasons. It's in another city, about 3 hours from here. A fresh start with people who value restaurant experience and customer service skills. Each detail was a small victory. The restaurant erupted. Jennifer, that's wonderful news. Mr. Romano boomed. Maria's face appeared in the kitchen window, beaming. You deserve this, she called out, her accent thick with emotion. Tony dropped his cleaning cloth and started clapping. The sound of applause filled Romano's. Regular customers stood up, adding their voices. Mrs. Patterson, who'd witnessed my decline, raised her water glass. To Jennifer and her bright future, the restaurant became a community rallying around someone they'd watched struggle, their genuine joy drowning out the family who'd tried to destroy me. Margaret's face cycled through confusion, disbelief, then something disturbingly like fear. She'd expected to break a vulnerable woman, not hand freedom to someone who'd already secured her independence. Her carefully planned triumph was collapsing into public embarrassment. You knew about this job when you signed those papers? David asked, his voice strained with the realization that I'd outmaneuvered him. His phone hung forgotten in his lap. I received the offer 3 days ago, I confirmed, watching his face pale. The same day, you all started acting mysteriously excited about my birthday celebration. Emma's phone captured David's growing understanding. The irony was perfect, devastating. Margaret had handed me divorce papers, expecting to break me, but she'd actually freed me to pursue the professional respect she'd always claimed I couldn't achieve. Their cruelty had eliminated the only obstacle to accepting an opportunity that proved every negative thing they'd said about my potential as well. The training program includes management development, I added, pulling the official letterhead from my purse. They specifically recruited me because of my restaurant background. Apparently, my experience here at Romano's demonstrates exactly the skills they value for advancement in hospitality management. Mr. Romano appeared beside our table, glowing. Jennifer is one of our finest employees, he told Margaret directly. Smart, dedicated, and respected by everyone here. This hotel is lucky to have her. Margaret's silence was deafening. Her decorated envelope had delivered my freedom instead of my destruction. Emma lowered her phone slowly, finally understanding. The video they'd intended for entertainment would now document their own failure. David stared at the job offer letter like it was written in a foreign language. 2 years of supporting his mother's criticism had just cost him a wife who was walking away with professional success, financial independence, and the moral high ground. "You planned this," Margaret finally whispered, her voice barely audible. "You knew about the divorce papers." Her accusation carried no conviction. She was beginning to understand that my calm reaction wasn't planned. It was genuine relief disguised as composure. "I planned nothing," I replied, my voice steady and clear. "You handed me freedom I didn't even know I wanted. 3 days ago, while you were preparing those papers, I received validation that everything you've said about my limitations was wrong. The timing was perfect." Emma's phone captured her mother's growing realization. Margaret had expected tears, please. Instead, she'd handed liberation to someone already planning to leave their toxic judgment behind forever. $45,000, I repeated, letting the number sink in. Plus benefits, housing, and career advancement opportunities. The management training program starts with my employment. Each detail was a small explosion in their narrative about my inadequacy. Mr. Romano clasped my hands. "Jennifer, this is incredible news. Grand Plaza Hotel is getting someone special. We're going to miss you terribly, but this opportunity is exactly what you deserve." Maria emerged from the kitchen, beaming. "You're going to be amazing. Show them what Romano's girls can do when given real chances." Tony declared, "This is the best birthday surprise ever. You're going to run that whole hotel someday." Regular customers approached, drawn by the celebration. Mrs. Chin squeezed my shoulder. "Good for you, honey. You've always seemed too smart for staying in one place forever." The contrast was stark. Romano's staff and customers surrounded me with genuine affection and pride. Margaret, David, and Emma remained frozen, their triumph transformed into public embarrassment. "When do you start?" Mr. Romano asked. 2 weeks, I answered, watching Margaret's face pale further. She understood. I'd been planning my escape while she planned my destruction. The divorce papers she'd prepared as my ending were actually clearing the path for my new beginning. David finally found his voice strained. "You're really leaving?" Just like that. "I'm really free," I corrected, emphasizing the word. "Free to work where I'm valued, live where I'm respected, and build relationships with people who celebrate my success instead of planning my failure." Margaret attempted to regain control. "This is all very sudden, dear. Perhaps you should think carefully before making such drastic decisions." The endearment was hollow. "I've been thinking for 2 years," I replied, meeting her gaze directly. Every criticism, every comparison, every suggestion that I wasn't good enough. All of it led me to this moment. "You were right about one thing, Margaret. I do deserve better." The restaurant's applause grew louder. Other diners understood. They were witnessing someone's liberation. "The beautiful thing about timing," I continued, my voice growing stronger, "is that your gift of divorce papers arrived exactly when I was ready to accept freedom. I don't have to choose between my marriage and my self-respect anymore. You've made that decision beautifully simple." Emma's recording captured her family's growing discomfort. They'd come as executioners, but found themselves defendants. Margaret's purse sat open, the decorative envelope, her weapon, looking ridiculous, childish. The weight of 2 years of criticism lifted from my shoulders. Every snide comment, every comparison, every suggestion I wasn't worthy, all of it evaporated. David's face showed slow-motion revelation. His mother's gift had just cost him a wife who was walking away with dignity, success, and the freedom he'd helped them steal. Margaret sat motionless, her satisfied smile completely erased. Her perfectly planned revenge now my perfect escape. I walked out of Romano's restaurant that night, carrying nothing but my purse and my dignity, leaving behind a family that had just revealed their true nature to an entire room of witnesses. The cool evening air felt cleaner than it had in months. Each step toward my car marked more distance from people who'd never deserved my efforts. 2 weeks later, I stood in the marble lobby of Grand Plaza Hotel, wearing a professional uniform that felt like armor. My nameplate read Jennifer Walsh, Guest Services Coordinator. My maiden name had returned along with my self-respect. My furnished apartment was a sanctuary. No one criticized my choices, questioned my worth, or made me feel unwelcome. Jessica Martinez became a mentor, seeing leadership potential Margaret had denied. Within 4 months, I was assistant guest services manager, my salary above $50,000. Word of my success began filtering back. Linda, Margaret's country club friend, stayed at Grand Plaza, recognized my name, and specifically requested my assistance. "You're David's ex-wife, aren't you?" Linda asked. "Margaret mentioned you worked in hospitality, but she never said you were management at such a prestigious hotel." Her surprise was genuine. Linda's glowing review reached Margaret through their social network. The woman who dismissed me as a mere waitress had to hear detailed praise of my competence from her own friends. My success was becoming impossible for Margaret to minimize. David's attempts to reconnect arrived through social media messages I never answered. His texts grew desperate, but Margaret's lessons about recognizing value only after destruction had taught me not to trust those who celebrated my perceived failures. The divorce settlement proceedings worked entirely in my favor, thanks to their own documentation. David's video recording of the birthday ambush became evidence of planned emotional cruelty. Margaret's legal strategy backfired as completely as her birthday surprise. Her decorated envelope, Exhibit A, painted her as the architect of family dysfunction. 6 months after that night, I was promoted again to guest services manager, supervising a team of 12. Salary approaching $60,000. Every milestone validated Jessica's assessment, contradicted Margaret's predictions. The hotel's annual employee recognition ceremony became my ultimate vindication. Standing on stage, accepting an award, I thought about Margaret's prayer for David to come to his senses. Her prayers had been answered in ways she never intended. Emma's social media posts about ambitious women stopped entirely. David's LinkedIn connection request arrived the same week as my manager promotion. Pathetic, transparent. He wanted association with my actual success. But the greatest satisfaction wasn't causing them pain. It was living well without needing their approval. My happiness was self-contained, built on genuine achievements and authentic relationships. Margaret's judgment became irrelevant. My new colleagues respected my opinions, valued my contributions. The professional environment Margaret claimed I could never access had welcomed me warmly. Her assessment of my potential had been completely wrong. Standing in my corner office, 18 months after that night at Romano's, looking out at the city skyline, I felt grateful for every criticism that had pushed me toward independence. Margaret's decorated envelope had contained the greatest gift possible, liberation from people who'd never deserved the effort I spent trying to earn their love. And that was my victory.